Hey everybody, Mikey Bananas from the Grown Man Record Night program. Here to jump on a little thread created by our pal Alan, the Static Traveler. Really interesting thread idea coming from Alan. If I was a god, vinyl tag. Pretty cool questions. Alan's got a great channel. He's a neat guy. He's a super nice guy. He's a well-read, super smart guy. Always thinking. He's always thinking, which is more than I can say for a lot of you schmucks out there in the VC. But anyway, he came up with these questions. If you were a god, what would you do when it comes to music? 9 questions to answer here. We've not done a regular breakout video in a while, so I thought it was time to do this, and this is a really cool one, so I want to jump right in. So number 1, show a record you would improve by adding or removing a single track. Thought about this a little while, and then it kind of jumped out at me. Obvious to me. Otherwise, I mean, this is pretty much my favorite Sabbath, I would wager, more than likely. And there's one eyesore on this record. It's Changes. The song does not belong. Now, I know Ozzy and the guys, it was one of those things where, like, you can't call us a weirdo, psychedelic, hard rock band, you know? We can do other stuff, too. I get it. They wanted to prove that they could do anything they wanted to do if they set their mind to it. They weren't pigeonholed into some genre, some kind of label, and I get that. But when it comes to just a stone cold early heavy metal classic, the song Changes does not belong on the record. It's not even that it's a bad song. And this is proof positive right here. Because if you want to hear this song really done, Charles Bradley released it in 2016, right before his death, actually. And the name of his album is Changes. He does a version of this, and it's absolutely killer, which tells you it's not a poorly written song. I just don't want it on a freaking Black Sabbath record. You know what I mean? Maybe Ozzy was going through some stuff. I don't know. They're all coked out of their freaking gourd anyway. All I'm saying is, why ruin an otherwise flawless? There's not another song on the record that I skip over, except for Changes. So that will be my one. Take that one off of there and tell me if there's some of you guys may know, were there some tracks, some of these deluxe reissues where there were like extra tracks and stuff that got left off? I mean, because any of those would have been better to stick on there, unless it was another ballad, for crying out loud. Okay, number 2. This one was tough for me. This one's really, I may need a sip of coffee for this one. My WKRP mug. Show a record by an artist you would resurrect from the dead. Boy, there's a lot you could do here. A lot of our rock and roll icons and heroes were taken way too young. Some of them just are old and died. So I wouldn't pick somebody that was old and that died, maybe like Lemmy. Lemmy lived a pretty kick-ass long life for a hardcore rocker like he was. He could have croaked 20 years before and everybody would have been like, oh, yep, that makes sense. The obvious choice for me, and would 100% be the answer, would be Kurt Cobain. No artist has, I don't want to get weird, it's touched my life the way that Kurt Cobain did. It was when I was in high school. It's when Nirvana came out. It turned me from a little church boy into like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do, like kind of punky, like just, it changed everything for me. However, it's also, it really struck me after he died. It's when he died that's when my journey really began. That's when I really started diving into a bunch of bands that I didn't know of before, because I was obsessed with Nirvana and looking up everything I could find about Nirvana. I had posters, I had magazines, anything I could find. I read books. And I would worry that if you bring Kurt back, if he stayed alive, would that have changed for me? Would my outcome have been somewhat different? I would love to say that I would have still become the kick-ass rock and roll guy I am now and today, but I don't know. Maybe that's one of those butterfly effects. I don't know. And so, given how much his death has meant to me in a very morose kind of way, I'm going to leave that where it is. Also, Kurt chose to take his own life. He took himself out of the game. So, to me, as much as I love him, he took himself out of the game, so he's off the table. I think for me, the other obvious answer would be Cliff Burton. I actually just got this from our pal Aaron Griffin last week. Ride the Lightning, a lot of people say, is the best thrash rock record of all time. Cliff was taken way too young and not by his own accord. I mean, you know, it was a freak accident. And I can't help but think that rock and roll, or heavy metal specifically, would be in a better place nowadays if Cliff Burton was still here. I just have to think that. You know, I think of Kurt, I'm like, maybe it would be, maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe he got old and got just super freaking lame, and that would have really hurt my feelings. That would have really hurt my feelings. But like I said, he took himself out of the game. Cliff Burton, I think, could have done so much more for rock and roll and for heavy metal. And it's a shame that he's gone. If I had to berserk, pull somebody back to life, I think it'd be old Cliffy. All right, number 3. Question. Easy. Which record that you own would you obliterate from the face of the earth, erasing all memory of its existence? Record night, people? 1, 2, 3. Bob Seeger's Night Moves. Got cat. He even has cat hair on it. Bob Seeger's Night Moves. Good Lord. What an absolute atrocity. And actually, it's the other one. The one that's 78 in 1978. What's it called? It's got old time rock and roll on it. Whatever that's called. That one's worse. This one's just as bad. God, I hate Bob Seeger and everything he stands for. And boom, out of here. I would not even have this record. This came from our pal Carl, the envelope. It was kind of a joke, kind of not. His mom passed. He got her records. He gave me this copy out of there because he knows how I feel about Bob Seeger. So now, the son of a bitch, I can't ever get rid of it because he gave it to me and it was his mom. So now I have to keep it. So I'll keep it in my collection forever because Carl gave it to me. He tricked me. Okay, which record? Okay, show a record cover which displays something of the power of nature. Oh, I found some good ones in my collection. I kind of did a little discog, like flip through, kind of looking through stuff, and I found some good ones, but I decided to choose one that I not only had in my collection, obviously, but was also one of my favorite records. And you guys have heard me talk about it ad nauseum, and I'll keep doing it because maybe this is the first time they're seeing my stupid ass talk about this record. It may intrigue them to go out and take a listen, have a pickup. Elders Reflections of a Floating World. There's your cover right there. It's got like a little ocean. It's kind of flipped upside down, little ocean, little mountains. And I'll tell you, nothing is more of a force of nature. As a fisherman, there's nothing more I respect in nature more than the sea. The sea can F you up, son. It can F you up in a hurry. And so to me, that's the ultimate force of nature. And what a killer cover. I mean, that's just aesthetically, I think that's just a very beautiful record. And not for nothing, it's probably my favorite album that's come out in the last 10 years. It's pejoratively referred to as stoner rock, but much more progressive than just repetitive riffs over and over and over again. Saw these guys live a couple of weeks ago. Phenomenal. Probably the tightest band I've ever seen live. For how intricate their parts and all that stuff was, they never missed a beat. Absolutely incredible. Okay, which 3 musicians would you Frankenstein together to produce a super musician? This was a good one. Originally, when I started this, I kind of went all over the place, and I was kind of picking different types of musicians. And then I realized, man, why don't I create my ultimate guitarist? Because I'm a guitar player, and that's what I know. Rock and roll guitar is what I know. And so I'm going to create, in my mind, the ultimate guitar player, starting with the best rock and roller of all time, Chuck Berry. And, man, I mean, for my money, there is no bigger and better rock and roller of all time than Chuck Berry. He taught me how to do it. Oh, there's a good one. There's a good picture to show for that. He literally taught me how to do it when I was 3 years old. When I heard Johnny Be Good the first time, that was it for me. That was literally it. This is the Golden Decades compilation. If you're a casual Chuck Berry fan, even if you're not, this compilation is the first Golden Decade version, Volume 1. It's got pretty much everything you want on it. Now, I'd love to have everything he ever did, but if you're looking for the hits, I mean, this has it all. Maybelline, Johnny B. Good, School Days, like Memphis. I mean, just tons of everything you want's right there. And but just the down to basics, core values of what rock and roll really is, what it means to be a rock and roller. Boom, right there, Chuck Berry. Now, taking that to the next level, on kind of the heavier side of stuff, man, holy cow. This dude, Matt Pike. Matt Pike would be my number 2 guy in this collaboration here. Because he's a tone hound. He's constantly seeking the best guitar tone he can possibly get. And his riffs are thunderous, just carnivorous riffs that just rip the meat away from the bone. And crafting those types of riffs is something that I'm extremely passionate about, you can say. I'll show a little Dope Smoker for the effect here. Sleep is the band, if you guys don't know. He also plays in a band called High on Fire. And this would have been a cool... Anyway. Incredibly killer, thick, gnarly, tuned down riffage that just... It makes you make that stink face. You hear those riffs and you're just like, It's one of those things. And soul-crushing riffs is kind of like, man, that really has a soft spot in my heart. Finally, to round out my perfect guitar players, we got Chuck Berry, we got Matt Pike, which is a hell of a combination already. Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa is on the more like kind of, virtuoso-esque type of guitar player. So I'm much more of a riffy guy, but I do love somebody that really masters their instrument. I'm showing a little chunk of Revenge OG here. And Zappa was incredible. He was a master at the guitar. Very underrated by people that are not Zappa people. I find he's very underrated as a guitar player. He's flawless. And I mean, his performances are, when you go back and watch old films and stuff of him, it's pretty incredible what he's doing. And I would say something that is really important to me. I almost gave this spot to Les Claypool. And it's not even that. I'm a big Les Claypool guy and a Promise guy, but not to where they're like my favorite band. But what I love about Zappa is the same as I like Les Claypool. They don't take themselves too seriously. There was lots of humor involved in Zappa's stuff, obviously. Now, he had stuff to say, very political, and, the lyrics were crafted in a way to make fun of some establishment stuff and really, poke at political things. But, I mean, call any vegetable, that's just funny. Don't eat the yellow snow, it's funny. And I always loved bands and musicians that didn't take themselves too seriously, especially not that Zappa's like heavy music, but I've always been a super big heavy music guy and heavy metal, but like, man, can you guys lay off? Like every song's like, oh, dark, doom, my life, our lives, the world, my relationship. Like, get the fuck over it. Not everything has to be like that. Like, can a heavy band just not write songs about pizza, for Christ's sakes? Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be like that. And guys like Zappa are a prime example. Not that it's heavy metal, but like, and that's why I always loved Promise. They were goofy and didn't take themselves too seriously, or you're acting like you're some kind of like, I don't know, something or other in the studio. Anyway, I'll move on. Let's see. This one was tough for me. This one was really tough for me. Show a record by one male artist and one female artist who you would save from the end of the world to entertain you in heaven forever. And I'll tell you, man, Alan had this one perfect. Alan said Lemmy. And I mean, I'll be honest, that's the right answer. Lemmy's probably the right answer for the male. But I think I have another good one. Another one of my favorite artists of all time, Jerry Reid. And not only was Jerry Reid one of the best pickers to ever damn do it. I mean, really, one of the best guitar players of all time. But he's a funny-ass guy and had a lot of cool stories and shit. So when you're not sitting around picking with Jer, I bet he's got some cool stories, and he'd just be a cool guy to kick it with in general. I would imagine. And if he was an asshole, I don't want to know about it, because to me his shit don't stink. You know what I mean? I think he's just he's the greatest thing, man. He's just, you know, Snowman and Smoking the Bandit. Like I feel like he's Snowman all the time, and you know, just picking and grinning, having a good time. And done. That would be my male. Female, I had a tough time here, folks. As you may or may not know from watching the show, I'm not a, now take it easy. I'm not a big female artist guy. And that's not on purpose. It's not, I don't have anything against women. Not like that. I just find myself, I don't gravitate toward women singers much. Or perform. I have tons, but I was trying to think. I could have pulled I could have said like Bananarama, who I really like, by the way. But now you're talking about a band. You're not talking about one singer. There's some girl bands I really dig. There's, you know, I thought about pulling Wada out of Boris, or maybe Lori out of Acid King, but I thought about something else for a couple different reasons. Miraker is a Danish black metal artist. Now hear me out. I know people are like cutting it off. Black metal, get the fuck out of here. Black metal, part of the second wave of black metal, and this project, I forget her real name, but this project was nobody knew who it was for the longest time, and she really does everything. It's a solo project of hers, and I think she does most of a lot of the instrumentation. I don't know, a good bit of it. She may have brought some people in for some stuff, but she's a beautiful singer. Like, she's really into the kind of the folk aspects of the black metal scene. So a lot of that traditional Scandinavian folk kind of sounds, she really embraces that and uses a lot of that in her music. Very pretty singing, and then there's times where it's black metal-y. You know, there's some of that raw edge to it. But I've also seen her in some interviews. She has a What's in My Bag, you know, the Amoeba Records thing. And she just seems so freaking cool, man. Really cool, really down to earth, has incredible taste in music. She spent a lot of time talking about King Diamond. So, I mean, she's got taste. I'm not for nothing, though. I mean, she's a pretty good-looking lady, too. I mean, I know she kind of looks like a corpse right there, but trust me, she's pretty easy on the eyeballs. So I think that'll be an interesting thing. Not to mention, some of these people, you would, you want to spend your eternity in heaven with. Even my favorite musicians, some of them are probably pretty damn insufferable at times. You know, to be an artist, a lot of these artists, after a few minutes, you're like, all right, dude, we get it. Chill, really, relax. Yeah. So I choose her because I think we could actually vibe and hang out and have a good time, much like Jerry Reid, in a very, very, very different way. Show a record that depicts one or more of the deadly sins: lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, anger, envy, pride. I mean, it's easy. It's easy for us here to everybody's got probably lots of slutty records with the hot chicks on the cover, scantily clad. I mean, that's what rock and roll is. I mean, there's a lot of that in rock and roll throughout the history. But I'll tell you what, sex is temporary, but I'll tell you what's forever. Mexican food. So there's my answer for gluttony. Tres Hombres, baby. The greatest gatefold in the history of rock and roll. God, I can never open this up without just getting hungry, boy. Woo! Terrific album. I mean, we all know that, but the gatefold is literally to die for, probably from cardiac reasons, but that's neither here nor there. Show a record. Let's see what we got. Show a record by an artist, if you can, who you would assign to hell forever for musical crimes against humanity. Oh, that's easy. Hey, the same record. Fuck you, Bob Seeger. He's probably a really nice guy. Hey, guess what? Don't care. Your rock and roll is terrible. So, yeah, that was easy. No Seeger, no sax. And finally, question number 9. In your benevolence, which VC channel, would you bestow 1 million subscribers so that they may never have to work again and indulge all of us with their videos ad infinitum? Infinitum. Cannot be your own. Okay. No. Got a lot of pals in the VC, met a lot of homies throughout the years. I love everybody equally for the most part. But this was easy in my mind because I'll tell you what, nobody spends more time on their videos, puts more effort into it, and cranks out content that is actually entertaining than Chromium Dioxide Radio. And he's got a little bit of subscribers. I mean, he passed us in a few months when he started doing videos, but for good reason. The time and effort he puts into his videos to create the effects, build these ridiculous miniature sets, and just really put everything together. All the graphics and the effects and stuff just are really off the charts. Not to mention, combine that with just a crazy knowledge of metal that you want to. I'm literally writing stuff down while he's during his videos, and then on the back end of that, after all of that, it's entertaining as shit. It's like my favorite TV show. But it's on YouTube by this cat that's got 2,000 subscribers. And I'll put this out there right now. He also does one thing that you can't just pull out of your ass. It's funny. His videos are very funny and very entertaining. You can't just wake up. And I need some of you to pay attention to this. You can't just wake up and say, I'm going to do a funny video. You're either funny or you're not. And you can't manufacture funny unless that's just who you are. Now, some of you in the VC think you're really funny. And guess what? You're not. There's one that's really, really comes to mind who's just not. I'll let you guys figure that out. But, yeah, he's got the total package there. So, hands down, Chromium Dioxide Radio. If you're not subscribed, you guys should do that. If you're not subscribed to Alan, Static Traveler, you should do that as well. Of course, Record Night's a close second on that contest, but you get lice in your chest. Thanks everybody for checking out this video, and I'd love to see some of your guys' entries too, man. So get popping on this, and let's see what would happen if you were gone.